Robin Gagnon.
And I'm Eric Gagnon, and we sell restaurants. We started the nation's largest restaurant brokerage firm. We sell restaurants over a decade ago. You can find us online at WeSellRestaurants.com.
We are on the air once a week with our expert guests talking about topics that are trending in the restaurant business. Tweet your own questions while we are on the air to our Twitter handle, Sell Restaurants, or post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/WeSellRestaurants. If we don't get to your question, we'll answer you on social media.
Our goal is to satisfy your appetite for acquisition, feed the need for restaurant reality, and serve up a recipe for business success. We go out into the restaurant industry to assemble top authorities on topics trending in this fast-paced world filled with both risk and success to share the inside scoop.
We are joined by some tremendous experts today who are going to share their knowledge of hot concepts in the restaurant industry. Our guests are examples of these concepts. They will weigh in and discuss how to grow your own hot concept and how to keep that concept relevant into the future. Joining us today are two industry leaders whose unique concept have skyrocketed their company to national prominence. We have the founder and designer of the Tom and Cheek restaurant, Drew Quackenbush and Corey Ward. Over the last 15 years, Chef Drew has cooked professionally in San Diego, Las Vegas, Seattle, Alaska, Indianapolis, and Cincinnati, where he founded his niche after years of experimenting. Ward, who previously worked in comic books, design, and branding, always wanted to open his own business, especially one that would, quote, put a smile on people's faces. Tom and Chi is their concept, specifically the grilled cheese donut, and that's been featured on ABC's Chew, Travel Channel's Amazing Eats, and Man vs. Food Nation. NBC's Today Show named it one of the 7 best sandwiches of 2012, and their BBQ and bacon grilled cheese sandwich, I'm getting hungry just saying this, was named Best of the City by Cincinnati Magazine. The band Smash Mouth included Tom and Chi in their cookbook, Recipes from the Road, and they've been written up in the National Cheese Magazine Culture. Tom and Chi was named one of the 25 brands to watch at the 2013 Brand Innovators Made in America Summit. Their franchising operation was featured on Fox Business's Money with Melissa Francis, and Shark Barbara Corrigan invested in their company and the expansion of their franchise operations during their appearance on the season finale of ABC's Shark Tank. Originally started as a food booth in Cincinnati's historic Fountain Square, Tom and Chi's rapid success led to the opening of their first brick-and-mortar location in 2010. In 2011, they opened their Northern Kentucky store and a third location in downtown Cincinnati shortly after. Since Tom and Chi appeared on Shark Tank, they've received more than 7,000 franchise requests, covering all 50 states and several countries, including Canada, Ireland, Dubai, and more. They are seeking actively engaged franchisees to expand their brand across the country. Drew and Corey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And it sounded quite impressive. You reached back our history.
It did sound very impressive, didn't it?
I think it's the first time I've heard it all put together like that.
But wait, there's more. We are also joined today, we're fortunate to have Rob McColgan, CEO and founder of Mod Market. Mod Market was recognized by Nation's Restaurant News as one of only 5 brands to receive the 2013 prestigious Hot Concepts Award. Hot Concept recognized forward-thinking companies that are the leading edge of food service and show potential for growth. Mod Market is a fast casual restaurant offering simple, whole ingredients, locally grown or organic when possible, and all freshly cooked in-house. Each store averaged more than $2 million in sales with an $11 per person check average. Rob McColgan graduated summa cum laude from the University of Notre Dame in 2002 with degrees in finance and film, and then spent 6 years in New York with Goldman Sachs. There he worked as an equity trader for the New York Stock Exchange and in private wealth management as a wealth advisor. In 2005, he received his first chartered financial analyst designation. As a vice president and private wealth manager, he worked with sophisticated institutions, individuals, and family offices to help them meet their investment goals. In addition, he oversaw and managed the trading responsibilities for one of the largest and most active wealth management team in the firm. Rob left Wall Street in 2008 to co-found Mod Market, a restaurant company focused on serving healthy fare in a fast casual setting. Since opening its first location in Boulder, Colorado in late 2009, Mod Market has grown to 4 locations in Colorado, with 3 more opening in 2013. The company aspires to be a nationally known brand and to change the expectation of what a $10 meal experience can be. Rob lives with his wife, son, and 2 dogs in Golden, Colorado. Rob, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Wow, so those are very impressive credentials. And let's start out, True and Corey, with you. Your company prides itself on being the originators of this really unique concept, the grilled cheese donuts. How were you able to come up with such a unique concept that's appealing to both children and adults?
I think the biggest, the thing with the grilled cheese donut was it was a sweet and salty, option that, teases the taste buds and the palate in so many different ways. It's hard to say exactly, how it was born. I think we were all watching shows about donuts being used as the carb center for many different things, and we thought, why not grilled cheese?
I'm hungry just hearing those words, actually.
People love donuts. But Rob, on the other side of the coin here, your company appeals more to health conscious, so to speak, individual who desires a fast casual setting. Tell us a bit more about your menu.
Well, our goal when we were starting Mod Market was really to develop a concept where we could eat every meal every single day. I can tell you that a grilled cheese donut sounds absolutely amazing. I wish I had one right now, but I just don't feel like I should probably be eating that every meal every day. And I think
Nor would we probably recommend.
Yeah, I think that they would agree with that.
Unless you try to commit suicide, right?
Yeah, and that's what's so cool about the restaurant industry is that you can come at it from so many different angles and have so many different concepts to try to achieve, certain things. Mod Market's goal is to really create real simple foods that you can have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner each and every day. And my co-founder Anthony and I have been friends for many, many years, and we always shared passion for health, wellness, outdoor activities, and we just, in our different careers, as you mentioned earlier, myself in finance, Anthony was in design. We both felt that there wasn't a place that we could eat at every day. I mean, we liked Chipotle every once in a while, but we found ourselves going back and back to the Whole Foods prepared food section, and we just didn't like the idea of eating at a grocery store all the time. So that's really where the idea of Mod Market came from.
Both of your concepts have been noted on the national scenes as hot. And you're in a position where a lot of people would like to be. But, starting with Tom and Chi, what advice would you give a new or a young operator starting out? How do you get noticed at that national level?
I think it all goes back to the very beginning as you're starting everything. Everything you do, you have to do it special. You can't just, even if, like, we're the grilled cheese people, we just sit and say, like, hey, we're just going to make some random grilled cheese and it's going to kind of be whatever it is, or versus like a person with a hot dog cart, they're just going to be like, hey, I'm just going to sell hot dogs like everybody else around me. I mean, at that level, you're never going to stand out. I mean, you have to take every opportunity that you have within your niche to figure out ways to do stuff better, to make it more appealing, to make it something that is more attractive to your customer base.
That's great. So, Rob, how would you respond to that same question? What would you tell a new operator who thinks he's got a great idea? How do you get noticed at the national level?
Well, I think I completely agree, by the way. I think it all starts and ends with the food. You have to deliver highest quality food, highest quality experience that you possibly can, whether it's serving grilled cheese donuts, sausages, or salads. It really doesn't matter because you can have all the flair, all the advertising, marketing, promotion, the best website in the world. But when it comes down to it, whether it's local or national, people are going to come and try to experience the food. And we're restaurants. We serve food, so the food has to be great. The experience has to be wonderful. And that's really the best way to drive any concept forward.
Right.
Good. That's good information. Tom and Chi guys, how are you able to keep Tom and Chi franchise relevant when there's so many imitators out there?
I think the biggest thing, we do and touches back just how the My Market thing is going on, keeping it simple. We make everything in-house, and it sets us apart from a lot of the other places that are just, putting cheese and bread and sliced deli meats. We're roasting chickens and turkeys, and we're doing everything we possibly can to, kind of control what's in it, and it takes it back to a fresh, flavorful, type of thing. So it's just, that's what sets us apart, is that we're not just trying to put bread and cheese and whatever on a donut. We're doing everything we can to take it back to the basics, if you will.
And this is a question I would have for both of you, and I'll start with you, Rob. Was there this aha moment that you had that you knew, okay, Mod Market is franchisable. This is something we can replicate, and other individuals are going to want to come on board and be an operator in our vision. How did you know when your company was, quote, franchisable?
Well, there really wasn't an aha moment. Like I said, everything was driven by what Anthony and I wanted to eat each and every day. And so we just stayed true to that goal from the beginning, and just put faith in that our demographic and kind of what our desires really were would translate to other people. And, frankly, things started off fairly slow. And, even new stores, as we continue to open them, they don't open at extremely high volumes. We don't do a ton of advertising to promote new openings. We try to grow by word of mouth, and that only happens by delivering an amazing experience, for each new visitor each and every time. So, I think while there wasn't an aha moment, the continued success and seeing how happy people come in, when they experience it for the first time, really has let our confidence grow for each store opening.
That's interesting, though, because we see a lot as brokers. People have great recipe for lasagna, great recipe for a hamburger, great recipe for barbecue, and they decide to go out and open. Thing because they like it, like you and Anthony and the Tom and Chi folks as well, and then you decide to go out there thinking everybody's going to like it, and from our perspective, that's the needle in the haystack, because most people actually end up failing because there's more to it than that. Can you guys elaborate a bit about that and see what your experience was? Because most people are not just, hey, I like it, that doesn't mean a million people will like it also.
True.
The
And
big
Corey?
thing would be to, it's a big thing to me would just, with us, we talked to a lot of our friends about it. We were sampling like grilled cheeses, like offering it to them, kind of really gauging if there is really true interest. Because it's one of those things, if you do ask your friends, like, who do think you make great barbecue or whatever it is, you think, and they're like, of course they're going to tell you, like, hey, you should totally open up a restaurant if you ask, but you kind of need to get into it and also have a good understanding of what it takes to run a restaurant. Because if you're just a guy at home that makes a really awesome barbecue during the summer, it doesn't mean that you're equipped to handle a restaurant operation. Because it's a business like anything else, and there is a whole back end of it that requires some knowledge and some experience.
Good advice, Rob. You share a little bit about that, because you guys really say, hey, this is what I like to eat, but usually that doesn't work. So how did you guys make the special ingredient to make it work?
Well, I do completely agree that the back end and understanding that a restaurant is a business is crucial to anyone's success. Anthony and I had zero restaurant experience, zero food service experience before the soft opening of the very first Mod Market, and we acknowledged that it would provide challenges early on as we learned the business and learned to grow and how to run a restaurant day to day. But what we did have was, we believe, a well-matched set of skills to run a business, whether it was a restaurant or anything else. And so I think that pairing the passion for what you like to eat with the operational knowledge of how to run a business is crucially important, no matter what type of restaurant it is.
That is amazing to me. I had no idea. I read your bio, but it didn't click until you just said that you had zero restaurant experience before opening your first store. And I think that's really amazing, and it shows that you do have a strong grasp. And, Eric and I are in a position where we frequently counsel people on how to sell their restaurant or how to help them buy a restaurant. And they do go in without any experience, but then they rely on the franchise and the systems and the processes. So I take that to mean that from that starting point, you guys have developed a lot of fundamental support systems to help your franchisees stay true to your brand.
Yeah, and I do want to make it clear right off the bat, we're not interested in franchising really at all. We're only company-owned stores, and our plan is to grow just with the company-owned model. We just believe that we haven't really figured out the perfect Mod Market yet, and in order to franchise, you have to have that concept completely locked down 100% to both sell and support any franchisees that are coming down the road. So, we're pursuing the company-owned model, but in a lot of ways, it's the same. You need the same tools and the same operational model to grow successfully, whether it's company-owned stores or selling and supporting franchises.
Well, this is a lot of good information. I hope our listeners out there are taking notes, or you're in your car, record on your phone. This is a lot of good information from you guys. We really appreciate you guys giving the true piece of this. I know, True, you guys mentioned earlier here about not any kind of goat cheese. Mod Market is very focused in fresh food trend and everything. Can you talk a bit about ingredients and trend, where you see the components of your menus going in the future regarding to that sustainability and fresh food? Kind of, is it a fad, or is it going to be something that we're going to head down for years to come?
In my opinion, I think this is what we're seeing people in looking at fresh and organic foods and wanting to really eat those types of things, knowing things are coming from a locally sourced farm or whatever it is. The key to that is, I think that's not a fad. I think it's just an understanding of food, and as our culture goes, and you have so much information at the tip of your fingers through a smartphone or whatever, people know what's going into the foods they buy. They know that they're picking up stuff, and they don't want to see high fructose corn syrup in what they're eating. And so for us, we don't look at it as a fad. It's just more like a way of life. It's about just doing it right. It's not about trying to find the cheapest option, but the best option for your guest and the and the consumer that's coming through the door. Because ultimately, that's going to keep you successful in the long run. Is that you're doing it right, and it's not really about the bottom line. It's about making sure that everything is up to snuff, if you will. There's no pink slime going on.
And so, Rob, you care to share a bit about your vision on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I agree. It's not a fad. This is the way that the American dining experience is going, and it should be going. It's no longer about what the lowest calorie count can possibly be, right? It's no longer finding as many artificial sweeteners as you can to get that calorie count down. I think that the American consumer in all areas of the country is just wising up to the fact that you need to understand where your food came from. You need to be able to trace it back to something simple. The ingredient list should not be extremely long and contain words that no one can pronounce. And that's really a tenet of Mod Market from the beginning, is that our tagline is Farm Fresh Eatery. It means you can trace every single thing that you're eating, from the main ingredients to the aiolis to the dressing, back to a farm, back to something simple. And no, I definitely don't think it's a fad, and I think that frankly it's going to be problematic for a lot of the established food service companies that grew up when this did not exist, and then are being forced to scramble and kind of change their way of thinking, because the consumers definitely are changing.
I think that's very true, because they actually have to retrofit an existing menu and process backward into trying to be able to explain to the customer what it is they're actually putting in their mouth. And kind of on the heels of that, tell us a little bit, Rob, who is your target demographic? Who's walking in the doors of Mod Market?
Well, when we started out, we really wanted to focus on women. We felt that women overall were completely underserved in the fast food and fast casual environment. That for the last 50 to 70 years, the burger chains that were popping up were all focused on serving men, and we felt that that was a pretty big gap that wasn't there. And so that was our thought process from the beginning, and it drove a lot of our decision making with the early menu. But in time, we've come to see that what we're offering is enjoyable and to all demographics, from young to old. So we've been very pleasantly surprised about that.
It's interesting you say that, because as a woman myself, I see these commercials where it feels like they're trying to show you the biggest slab of meat that they can, surrounded by the most voluminous bun and all the things that go with it, and it just actually turns me off to a concept instead of getting my feet in the door. So I'm obviously not their customer. So I would ask, actually, True and Corey, who is the Tom and She target demographic? Have you narrowed that down, and did you go down this same sort of path of self-discovery that you started out with one idea and it sort of morphed into a broader scale?
The whole idea when we started Tom and Chi was the idea that the grilled cheese, like everybody has a connection to grilled cheese. It's like a comfort food for a lot of people, reminds them of their childhood. So we really were targeting everybody. And it's kind of weird to say. A lot of people say it's a bad thing to say you can't target everybody. But if you walk into any of our stores and you just look at who's there eating, it's everybody. It's everybody from retirees to 20-something families with their kids to like the high school kids out on a date or taking their girl to prom. It's pretty much all across the board. I think because our menu is easily accessible, it's at a family-friendly price, and it does relate to almost everybody. Everybody that likes cheese.
What's your average price point? I didn't ask you that, and I know we had in some of the frontline copy that the Mod Market has an average price point that they're attempting to achieve of around 11. What's the average price point for
our grilled cheeses start at $3.50.
Wow.
Wow.
And I'd say your average grilled cheese is probably going to be closer to like your $4.50, $5 range.
Okay. Now, and I'm intrigued because it said you had 7,000 franchise inquiries. How many agreements do you actually have signed at this point?
To date, we have 2 signed. We have Louisville signed and one up in New Jersey.
Louisville and New Jersey. Those are great markets.
Yeah. I'm
And
really excited.
So
Yeah.
is the other 600, 998 have been turned down, or they're just in the process of still being interviewed?
Yeah, we have a lot of people in the process. We got a big, giant dry marker board full of names and locations.
that is a great problem to have. And Rob, let me ask you, what are your growth plans for this year?
Well, you mentioned early on, I think when I sent in the bio that you asked for, we had 4 locations. The 5th one did open a couple weeks ago. And then we have 2 more under construction that will definitely open this year, and probably 1 more after that. So as I mentioned before, all company-owned stores, which is our growth plan going forward. We all the stores are in the Front Range, so in and around Denver, and then our second market is going to be Dallas, and we are planning on opening 2 locations there in Q1 next year.
Great.
That's great information, guys. And if you don't mind staying with us for a little longer, we're going to pause for a commercial break, and we're going to be right back. And I want to acknowledge one of our sponsors, GeorgiaRestaurantLaw.com. You can schedule a free consultation with them at GeorgiaRestaurantLaw.com, and they will handle anything from contracts, federal, state, local licensing, upfront, flat fee rates. And don't touch that dial. We are here with the restaurant broker, Eric and Robin Gagnon. We'll be right back after the break.